Good morning.
Morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
This is where Wisconsin wakes up. It's Daybreak with Brian Noonan and Jamie Martinson. Here are your hosts, Brian and Jamie.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It is 6 minutes after 6 on this Monday. You are listening to the Civic Media Network. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning. I'm Brian Noonan. If you want to jump in with us at any point during the show, share what you did over your Easter weekend. We'd love to hear that. 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Well, all weekend I have been wondering how the Juicy Lucy situation played out. Because if you weren't with us Friday, Jamie said she was making a very fancy Easter dinner for the family, which included Juicy Lucy's. And for people who may not know what those are, Jamie, what are Juicy Lucy's and how did it go?
A Juicy Lucy is, if you've ever been to the great city of Minneapolis, it's kind of a staple of Minneapolis. You've got Matt, who serves the new Juicy Lucy's. I personally prefer the Nook, which is fantastic if you ever get that direction. But it's basically like you have two patties, and then you put the cheese inside, and then you grill them. So when you take a bite of the hamburger, the cheese just kind of oozes out. And yes, you have to be careful that it's not too hot because melty cheese and all of that. But it's so good. And so they were delicious. We made the Juicy Lucy's yesterday. Everybody had their own preference, so I ended up with about 12 different kinds of cheese in the house and all of that, but it was fine. The older kid was home, and he made sure that the buns were nicely toasted. I said, I don't know if I want to toast the buns. And he's like, it's toasting buns. Where's your pan? So he handled that. It's kind of nice. This is what I learned yesterday. Besides being incredible Juicy Lucy's, because they were really good. I'll give myself a pat on the back.
All right, there you go.
It's really good having a kid who lives by himself and can use a kitchen now.
Wow. It always amazes me when people don't know how to do the simplest thing. Now, the only reason, Parker, you still live at home because you're very young, so that makes sense. That's not a judgment statement. It's just a statement. You know how to cook, right? You've watched your mom cook or your dad cook. You know what to do in a kitchen, right?
I can stumble my way into a meal.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Does that mean that you can actually make yourself a meal, or you stumble into what mom put in the refrigerator as a leftover?
Or you know how to dial DoorDash.
Hey, now that I understand how that phone number works, I can call it DoorDash like that, Brian.
We deserved that.
I mean, I know everybody's not going to be a gourmet cook,
right?
But something my mom said when we were very young, because all my brothers can cook, all my sisters-in-law do not.
Okay.
It is crazy. My mom said, if you can read, you can cook.
Yes.
And on the most basic level, that is true. If you read, if you can follow directions, you can cook. It's not, the creativity comes after, but basically you could, I'm always like, oh, guys don't know how to cook or people don't know how to cook. I'm like, how do you not know how to cook?
This is what I appreciated about homeschooling, right? Because both of my boys were homeschooled from kindergarten all the way through, is that was part of daily life in our house, is you were going to be in the kitchen with mom. You were going to learn how to do these things because someday mom wasn't going to be there to do those things. And we called them life lessons, is what we called them. And we still call them life lessons. So there are times when I'll give mom advice and I'll be like, I'm not telling you what to do. This is a mom life lesson. So either you handle it however you want. This is what I'm telling you in my situation when I've dealt with the same type of thing we've done. And then, of course, they get life lessons from dad as well.
Sure.
But that was part of our daily life is my kids did chores with me. They learned how to cook with me. They did all of those basics. And I will honestly say, like, if we leave the 19-year-old home, I stock the refrigerator, make sure he's got some cash if he wants to do a couple of door dashes as well. But he pretty much handles it on his own as well. He's a lot like his older brother in that sense, that they just get in the kitchen, they make the things that they want. They can make the basics. They can zhuzh up the basics for a little extra. They can do it all. So it was nice to have an extra set of hands in the kitchen, though, for those toasty buns yesterday for the Juicy Lucy's.
Yeah, that's very helpful. If you don't have, if your kid can't do anything in the kitchen, either one, you did not cook, or two, your kid is dense, because just by osmosis, you should pick up some sort of skills. If you've ever sat in a kitchen and watched your mom or dad or grandma cook something, you should at least, there should be some sort of identification of the process.
Right.
It's not, you don't have to make coq au vin. You can just, but can you grill a hamburger? Can you scramble an egg?
Yes.
Can you,
Yes.
it's,
My kid makes banana bread and everything for all of his
see?
friends, and all of that. Like he'll take if people help him out when he was in school, right? Because they were poor college students. If he didn't have money to pay them or help them, or if they gave him a lift somewhere because his car was in the shop or something like that, he'd go home and make him a loaf of banana bread and be like, I can't give you any money for gas right now. And I'm telling you, they always appreciated the kids' banana bread more than they did the cash.
Yeah, they're going to blow through the cash, but they're going to
useful in
enjoy that.
Right.
Parker, did the Easter Bunny come to your house? Did you?
Easter Bunny did hop over to the Olsen house.
Very
Yes.
nice.
What did you get in your little basket?
Mostly just a basket of some candy stuff, some chocolate stuff.
That's
I
always
did
good.
get a Badger football jersey,
Ooh.
which
Wow.
I'm not sure if. Well, okay.
That Easter Bunny has a budget.
Nice.
Well, because my birthday is tomorrow.
Oh.
So
Oh,
I think
happy
it's
birthday
like,
to Frank. We have to
make
Frank. Don't let
notes.
us forget.
Make notes, Frank.
Oh, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, take
Much
an
like
advice from an
Brian,
old man.
I
You
don't
never tell
particularly-
people it's your
yeah.
birthday.
Anyway, I think. Oh, Frank just popped on screen.
Well, what do you want to do for your birthday tomorrow, young man?
Yeah.
What a
You want me to sing happy birthday to you?
How did we not know this? How did
Yeah,
you keep
why
this
didn't
under
you
wraps
say
so long?
something?
I don't know. Have I not?
No.
Really? That's crazy. Because every time I remember what day election day is because it's on my birthday this year.
Wow.
You know what, Parker? I appreciate a man that doesn't tell anybody when his birthday is.
Thank you, Frank.
Yeah. I
You
mean, I
you
don't-
bottle that up. You keep that inside.
That's
Do you
right.
find-
Nobody
do you-
cares.
There's no
kidding.
joy
We
in
care.
Mudville.
We love you.
Do you find men and women do that differently?
Yes.
Because I am all about a birth month, and I will tell you why.
You are?
That
You
aggravates
do
the
not
hell out
strike
of
me as that person
Let me-
at
let
all.
me-
Don't.
Let me tell you why it's birth month. Because I remind the men in my family every single day that it's my birth month. Only because I am hoping that somebody at some point takes pity on me, walks the dog for me at least once, maybe cleans out the dishwasher and restocks it for me at least once. Maybe, just maybe, they'll even do a load of laundry on their own or vacuum the steps. That's the only reason it's birth month.
Maybe
But if I
this
get
says-
one of those things,
Maybe this says more about the men in your life than your attitude towards your
It
birthday.
could. It
I don't
could.
want to. I don't want to delve too deep under the surface.
It could.
You know?
No, one of those things, and I am happy. Take me out for a meal, get me a piece of cake, and vacuum my steps. That is a complete birth month for me.
So-
And we start celebrating
Wow.
October 1st so that maybe by October 27th, somebody has done one of those things.
That's
So let me
an
ask-
awful testament to the men in your life.
Does
That
this
is
work?
horrible.
Does
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually somebody will take pity on me and do one of those things for me at least once.
Somebody rolls their eyes and goes, I guess I'll walk the dog.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
exactly how it
And then
goes
they
down. I don't
communicate with
care.
each other and be like, I just did this. Somebody else needs to step up now.
I don't care how it gets done. I don't care
Or
how
you get
big
it
of a
all done
pain.
on by October 2nd, and then screw you the rest of the
Right.
month.
And I would be okay with that because somebody's
No,
done
you
it for
wouldn't.
me at
No,
least
you
once.
wouldn't.
Actually,
No,
I
you
would.
wouldn't.
I would. Somebody walk the damn dog. That's all I'm asking, so I don't have to. That's it.
But would they
That's
walk
it.
the dog the right way?
Oh,
or
yes.
would you find a way? Would you find something that was
I don't care.
oh
Just do it. I don't
But the
care.
dog doesn't want to be walked by somebody else.
Oh,
That
she
dog
just
is
wants
your
to walk.
attachment.
She
That's true.
is. She is. She really is. I don't
She'd
care.
be pissed.
She could get away from me one time. One time. Go enjoy life with your boys. That's it. Boys are your dad. That's it. One time. I'm simple. I don't even ask for gifts. I don't even want a gift. I just want you to do one thing in my house for me. That's it.
Well, should we celebrate Parker's birth month?
Yes.
Parker, in fact,
Oh, well, you
God,
got
a
yeah.
month?
This is the beginning of the month.
as your supervisor, I'm going to let you choose our bumper music tomorrow,
Ooh.
as you always do.
I said,
Right.
thank you. It's an
Happy
honor and a
birthday, young
privilege.
man. You
Parker,
enjoy
you-
that
privilege.
gift.
You can
Frank.
come in 3 minutes later than normal tomorrow.
I'll let you sleep in
Ooh,
Sleep in.
sleep in.
Sleep in.
3 whole minutes.
Get here
We've
at
got-
I'll take
4:50
it,
instead
honestly.
of 4:45.
We've got a bunch of texts rolling in on on social media this morning. Alicia saying, "My birthday is so early in the month, I don't do birth month." That's the unfortunate part of having a birthday early in the month. Mine's not until October 27th, so I have lots of time.
You can
And
still
so-
take up the whole month, Alicia.
You can though. I
you
think
can
you
if you yeah.
Knock yourself
Why?
out.
But here, all right. I'm going to say this, ladies. I'm sorry. You know I support you. I think you should. Everything's equal. But this birthday month thing, I've never met a guy in my life who's, my birthday is April 17th. Let's do it's birthday month. Everybody celebrate. I don't birthday weekend, shut up. Your birthday's one day. You just ignore it or be quiet about it, whatever. But it's your birthday, whatever.
Here's what I will say about the birthday month, though. My wife does this. If you want to go out to
your wife,
multiple,
a woman, making my case.
if you want to go out to multiple dinners to different places throughout the month,
Yeah.
just say it's your birthday. They'll bring
Yeah.
you something.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And I
That's
benefit from
absolutely
that,
true.
so I fully endorse Brian.
Yeah.
That's
But that's
absolutely
the
true.
only thing.
I got to tell you, there was a couple years ago when we were living over in the Baraboo area, and we went to one of the supper clubs in Wisconsin Dells. And we went to the supper club, and they had this amazing squash as part of their veggie entree that night. And the gentleman a couple tables over did not like his squash that, had a nice layer of brown sugar in it. And so he hadn't touched it. And I said, he doesn't want his, I'm literally
Oh
licking
my
the
God,
inside
you're
of my
eating
squash.
off another person's table?
Did you eat his squash?
The
Oh my
waitress
God.
brought it to me.
No,
She brought
that's a
it to
health
me.
code
Oh
violation.
my God, that place could be shut down.
I
This
didn't
is
say
all
what
right.
name
This,
it
That
this
is
is
the
a
most-
Baraboo. This is a Baraboo,
This is
Wisconsin
some-
thing. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is.
Whoever in Baraboo,
She
Wisconsin
You-
has squash.
Hold
with
on.
sugar.
And then she brought me a sundae with a candle in it afterwards. 'cause
Whose
it
was
my
that?
birthday. Well, it was mom.
What table did that come
I
from?
came from the kitchen.
Uh-huh.
I think.
Here, this kid didn't eat his.
He sneezed on it, but
He was
we
a
wiped
grown
that off.
man, and they brought me his squash because he didn't want it. So.
So he didn't touch it at all?
No.
Then why'd
No.
they give it to him?
Because he thought he would like it. He didn't like it once it came to the table, and it was
So
the
how
did he
veggie of
know?
choice
Tried
for the
it
night.
then.
No, he just when he got it, he didn't. They told him it was veggie of the night. He didn't ask what it was. They brought it to the table, and it ended up being squash, and he hated it, so they brought it to me.
What grown man doesn't try it?
I don't know.
This is also
I benefited though. It was the best birthday ever, and then I got to go see Gin Blossoms in concert, so it was great.
Yeah, but then you could have had
I
ptomaine
can't even
poisoning
think
from
of
old
that.
man squash. That is wow. See,
I'm telling you, I have a low bar
love
for
small
birthdays.
towns for a visit, but I'm not going to live in a place where they're going to give me some old man's food
Low
just because
bar
I
for
eyeballed
birthdays.
it.
Low
Low
bar
bar.
for
Look
birthdays.
at how excited she was
Trust
with
me,
that
I-
squash.
I was.
My-
I licked it. I licked the inside of it because I was hoping to get more.
Oh, good God.
Wow. After he had drooled old man
That's
drool
right.
on it.
They never
You're
had it
sick.
again.
I did get a free bourbon on Saturday
Ooh.
because somebody mentioned it was my birthday. But my birthday
we
was
go.
Friday, but I was with my mom all
Whatever.
day.
Still
It
your
counts.
birthday.
We'll-
Still
You
we'll
your
allow
birthday.
it.
get a day or like one event to celebrate.
Yes. And if you're going to talk about alcoholic beverages, then that's even better.
Yeah, and you know what? They poured it just for me, Jamie.
There you go.
Hadn't been sent back. It's the Civic Media Network.
From Lake Superior to Lake Michigan, this is Wisconsin's Morning Conversation. Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. It is 6:22 right now. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. Welcome to another week here on Daybreak. A lot to get to today, but I there's so many places we could begin, Jamie. But let's begin
Yes.
in our own backyard. Governor
Sure.
Evers vetoed a bunch of bills, including the no tax on overtime and tips, and he also vetoed one about requiring counties to cooperate with ICE. So this is big. He vetoed these Republican bills. They would have eliminated a tax on tips and overtime, requiring counties to cooperate with federal immigrations. And he also overturned a veto on his 400-year veto. He vetoed a veto.
I love that.
Yeah. So the Republicans had introduced proposals to align state income tax policy with measures signed by Trump in July that included provisions allowing tip workers making less than $150,000 to deduct up to $25,000 in tips annually from their federal taxable income, and allowing certain employees who work overtime and make less than $150,000 to claim tax deduction. If you're working for tips, is anybody making over $150,000?
I think it would be interesting to talk to somebody in the service industry, because I know this was actually a popular bill with several service industry workers. So I think it'd be interesting to see if they're upset about this, which I'll give out the phone number if I'm going to, ask you to call in. 1-855-752-4842, 1-855-75-CIVIC. I mean, if you are somebody who works in the service industry and you've got an opinion on this, we'd love to hear about it, because we even had a guest on the show a few weeks ago who talked about how this was a wildly popular bill among the service industry.
It
So I
was
surprised.
until people started delving into it.
Yes.
Because this was not forever. It was only
Right.
for a couple years, and it's more of a marketing plan for, to garner votes than it is actually helping tipped employees, because again, the devil was in the details on this. It sounds really good. Oh, you're never going to have to pay taxes on your tips. Hey, who wouldn't be for that?
Right.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, but then it's going to go away, and it's not every tip, and so there was a lot going into. It's Senate Bill 36, which the governor vetoed. It would have given tipped employees a state income tax exemption for cash tips with a sunset date in 2028. So,
How many people are actually doing cash tips now?
see, that's the thing.
Because don't we just put it on our car?
I
We
always
just write
put it
on
on-
the car.
Yep.
You add it onto the bill, and it just automatically gets divvied up and all of that. But I think that's the thing, and maybe that was what the governor was thinking.
Catch-22.
Right.
Yeah. And then, so Evers wrote in his veto message, we shouldn't be at the whims of a Republican-controlled Congress that has no problem gutting basic necessities and services like food and access to health care just to pay for tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires. Which, again, not the people that are targeted. I don't think a lot of millionaires and billionaires are working for tips. You see Zuckerberg at Chili's. Hello, what can I get you today? Would you like your baby back ribs?
I feel like that would be the most uncomfortable dinner ever
Oh,
if Mark
God.
Zuckerberg
You're
bellied up to
just
the
standing
table.
at your table staring at you.
Not blinking. That would be very, very strange. Very
You can eat that?
uncomfortable.
Can you eat that? There's a woman at the next table who wants your squash. You want to eat that?
I will always eat the squash. Just don't drool on it first.
Pull that out, Parker. Please.
Oh, I don't know if I want to.
Please. I will always eat the squash. Just don't drool on it. Just please. I don't know when we'll ever use it, but we should have it.
I have no idea.
Just have it. Have it handy.
You never know when it's going to come
It's a
back.
long life. We never, you never know. Oh, Jamie, what
Got
about ICE?
derailed.
Why do we have to help ICE? Or why does the governor not want people to
Well,
help ICE?
apparently we're not going to be helping ICE because he
right.
vetoed Assembly Bill 24, and that would have required law enforcement throughout the state to work with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Now, this particular bill would have actually required sheriffs to check the citizenship status of people being held in jail on felony charges and then notify federal immigration enforcement officials if citizenship could not be verified. Counties failing to comply would have been at risk of losing 15% of their shared revenue payments from the state, which helps cover the cost of fire, law enforcement, and other services. Now, of course, Republican lawmakers, including Assembly Speaker Robin Vos and Julian Bradley, a senator from New Berlin, introduced this bill at the start of the president's second term, saying that the state needed to support the immigration agenda. Now, since the introduction of that bill, we know that the Trump administration has stepped up detaining and deporting immigrants, but good for Governor Evers. I mean, seriously, there are still rights in this country, and then to say that we're going
Well-
to just take away funding, right? Like, you're just going to take away funding because you don't check the citizenship status of somebody? There's still rights. There's still a constitution. And as far as I'm concerned, there's still, due process under law. So pesky details.
Listen, by your birthday month, that might all be gone. By tomorrow at 8 o'clock, who knows what's happening? Something happening tomorrow at 8 o'clock. We don't know. We'll talk about all this. We're just making some I'm just making some side comments. Well, we've talked a lot about this 400-year-old veto that the governor put into effect for himself. He vetoed another attempt by Republican lawmakers to repeal his 400-year veto, which extended school deficit's ability to bring in an additional, or school district's ability, rather, to bring in an additional $325 per student annually through the funding from the state through property taxes. Now, lawmakers rejected calls to provide an increase to schools' general aid in the most recent state budget, so the governor did what he had to do. Republican lawmakers have argued that eliminating the veto is the best way to help address rising property taxes, pushed forward on Senate Bill 389 to do so, but then the governor wrote in his veto message that lawmakers, quote, all know that my 400-year veto didn't raise Wisconsinites' property taxes. It's just a heck of a lot easier for them to blame me than it is to tell the truth, end quote. You go, Tony. Don't let them push you around. Now, are you better off than you were a year ago? And where have you seen the biggest impacts on the tariffs as they reach their one-year anniversary? We will talk about that next. This is Daybreak. I'm Brian Noonan.
I'm Jamie Martinson. It is 6:29, and this is the Civic Media Network.
Want to join in on the conversation? Call or text 855-75-CIVIC. Now back to Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on this Monday at 6:35 right now. If you're in Hayward, listening on WBZH, or in La Crosse on WLCX, or even in Eau Claire, listening on 93.5 The Tap, we are glad that you decided to join us this morning. My name is Jamie Martinson.
Good morning. I'm Brian Noonan. Just a couple texts coming in. You can always text us, 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Or you know what's even cooler? You could actually use that as a phone and call. That's fun, too. But we were talking about the governor vetoing the tax on tips bill put forward. John in Middleton, listening on WMDX, says, if you ever worked as a waiter or waitress, you would only tip in cash. I always tip in cash. Yeah, that's for like a small thing that makes it for bigger special occasion meals. If you're out, that's a lot of extra cash. I don't carry that kind of cash. Well, I don't have that kind of cash. Anyway, Gary also listening on WMDX. I believe the tax on tips is related to U.S. Supreme Court's ruling that bribes to elected officials are to be considered as gratuities, but only if paid after the action. All right. Well, speaking of money and things, are you better off than you were a year ago? And the reason I'm asking, it was the anniversary of Liberation Day. So where have you seen the biggest impacts of the tariffs in your life? Yes, liberation. Remember that we were going to be liberated. I don't know from what except our money. I know we were being liberated from some more of our cash. Because
how are you feeling about Liberation Day and this one-year anniversary?
I'm not feeling good about it. I'm looking at the State of the Union, and in my opinion, the State of the Union is not strong. But it was a year ago, and the president really wanted to. He liked celebrating Liberation Day, despite the fact that Liberation Day tariffs have been ruled illegal by the Supreme Court of the United States. He signed some more executive orders adjusting duties on pharmaceuticals and metals. And, of course, the Democrats slammed economic fallout from Trump's trade policies. So
did they write a strongly written letter?
I hope so. That's that's obviously catching his attention. He's paying attention to all those strongly written letters.
All the big things.
Yeah, he's using them on his gold toilet. That's what he uses those strongly written letters for. So April 2nd was Liberation Day, so that would have been Thursday. But last April 2nd, he shocked American businesses and global markets. He declared a national emergency to impose a 10% tariff on goods from nearly every country, including, yes, that's right, our allies, people we've been trading with forever. He had double-digit duties on imports from some major U.S. trading partners. Things went south quickly. People were gaslit into believing that other countries were going to pay for these tariffs. As you know, they do not. You actually do. I do. Jamie does. Parker doesn't. His mom and dad do. But everybody's
Mostly.
Listen, Parker, I wish I still lived at home and, you know, and had them handling all the tariff stuff. But yeah, it's not been a good year. It's not been a good year for business. It's not been we've seen it across many, many industries that these tariffs have actually hurt. They've hurt small businesses disproportionately to larger corporations, only because small businesses' margins are much smaller. And some of them rely on products from overseas that now have gone way up.
Yes.
And I remember one example is a toy company here, a toy company here in Wisconsin, that a lot of their stuff, a lot of their games and educational materials come from China and overseas. Well, they had to pay more because China and the other companies were not paying us to take them.
No.
The people importing them have to pay.
I mean, everything right now costs more, right?
Yep.
Groceries, cars, tools, appliances, all the basic household stuff. And it is adding up really fast. And because of those tariffs, we're also starting to see people have to make really hard choices about their finances. And here in Wisconsin, between consumers and businesses, we lost about $3.5 billion because of those tariffs. And if you look at it on a more finite, individual level, families lost about $1,700 just last year because of those taxes and because of those tariffs. So think about what you could have done right now with the rising costs with another $1,700 in your budget. But we've been told our refund checks are coming. They're coming.
Yeah. Well, once the Supreme Court ruled that these tariffs were illegal, there were some states and there were companies that were like, all right, well, we need our money back.
Right.
You gotta pay us.
Several Wisconsin companies are suing.
Right. And a lot of, there's governors across the country that are debating to sue the government to get your money back, to get you that $1,700. Now, on Friday, or Thursday rather, he signed 2 executive orders on steel, aluminum, copper, and a 100% tariff on pharmaceuticals made by transnational companies that decline to invest in manufacturing their drugs in the United States. If you are on one of these drugs, prepare to see your costs skyrocket. You may think, well, I don't buy all the metal stuff. Well, do you buy pop in a can? Do you have any other things in your house made from steel? Are you going to buy a tool?
What's going to happen to the construction industry? I mean, when I think about this for a minute, if we're talking about this type of increase on aluminum and steel and the things that they're using to build, I'm looking down State Street right now. There's major construction happening in some of these buildings where they're bringing in metals, beams and things. These are all going to be impacts. And you also look at what's going to happen to the farming industry. If we want to look at what's going to happen here in Wisconsin, I mean, we're talking about equipment increases, and we are talking about the fact that small manufacturers are going to be paying more for those parts, which means then in turn, everybody's going to end up paying even more than we already are. And it's going to start showing up in more than just your monthly bills. And let's be realistic. There's people out there that are already having a hard time affording their medications because of the cost of medicine and because the healthcare industry in this country is crazy and not good for actual patients. What is going to happen to people who really need these medications, and how are they going to get what they need to, in some cases, survive, literally? Well,
Jamie, you're taking a big leap that anybody cares about that. So
I care. I think most of our listeners care.
Well,
I know the administration
the people
might not.
That's what I'm talking about. The administration does not care. If you're on these medications, you and your family care, and probably your physician cares, and I would imagine the pharmacists care. But they don't none of us make the rules, and the people who make the rules don't care one way or another about you. They will preach that they care about you. That's why they're going to lower taxes on or lower the price of pharmaceuticals. Then they don't. They will say they back the farmers, and then they don't. So, we love small business until they don't. So this doesn't surprise me. And it's another thing. Let's blackmail these transnational companies and say, we won't tariff you if you invest here. We need you to come here. To be honest, if you're I don't know where any of my medications, when I get a prescription, I don't care where it was made. The doctor says, take this. I say, why? What's it going to do? Oh, it'll help with da-da-da-da-da.
Sure.
Okay, cool. I don't go, where is it made? Has this transnational company invested in production here in the United States? Because I think they need to pay more tariffs. Stop it. This is a guy, and listen, based on past record, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm just going past. Somewhere this money's going into his pocket.
Yes.
I don't.
Well,
he brags about the company bringing in trillions of dollars on these tariffs. No.
Yeah. I mean, let's be realistic. When we're talking about pharmaceuticals, too, those aren't your luxury type goods, right? People need those medicines.
My discretionary medicine that I need to stay alive?
I mean,
Come on.
We need these types of items. So, and when it comes to things like medicines, I mean, we see it with my mom all the time. She's constantly adjusting her budget so that she can make sure she has the medicines that she needs. And I've talked about this before. She has congestive heart failure. So without the medicines that she gets on a monthly basis, she literally wouldn't be here, because those medicines keep her alive. They keep her heart functioning the way it's supposed to. So when you think about other people in that predicament, I even think about your wife. We've talked about her being a diabetic on medicines. Right. They're already astronomically high. So what is going to happen? Are people going to start rationing things like insulin? And that's already a problem in this country. People are already doing those things because the medicines in this country and our healthcare system does not give people what they actually need to be able to afford these medicines already. And now the president's just like, let's just put a 100% tariff on them. Yeah. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, the other day she'd gone and picked up her prescriptions, and she said, and I'm thankful every day that we have good insurance. I truly am. She said, you know what my insulin would cost per month? It was like $2,300 a
Who
month
can afford
if
that?
we did not have insurance.
Who can afford that? I don't even want to add up what my mom's medicines, because she's on some very high-powered ones. I'm sure she has probably done it. I have not sat down with her recently to add up what it would cost if she didn't have her insurance, because I mean it's a regimen of pills for her heart. Yeah. So I can't even imagine. And I was having this conversation with friends just last week. Maybe I'm not hanging out in the right tax bracket, because none of the people I know are feeling like they're doing better financially 1 year after Liberation Day than they are today. So maybe I'm just not hanging out with the right people in the right tax bracket, because we don't feel like we're doing better.
No, Lynn makes a good point. She's in Golden Valley. She says those companies do not need to invest, only claim that they will. A factory takes 2 to 4 years to design, order, and build. If they say they will, he will say how he is winning, and the companies can wait for the next administration. That's a good point.
It's a very good point. Yeah, it's kicking the can so that you feel like you're doing something.
Well, and then you're also appeasing dear leader.
Of course. And I think that's just what it is, right? There's plenty of people in this administration who will say that they are winning this war on tariffs, when in actuality they're not. It's kind of like the war in Iran, right? Like we're actually not winning anything. It feels like we're kind of at a stalemate, at the status quo, and nobody is doing it. Nobody is better off than they were. We aren't better off because of these tariffs. We aren't better off because of this war. It's just this never-ending loop that this administration takes us in, telling us that this is happening, when in actuality it's not. It's just not happening.
I would love to hear from somebody who thinks they're doing better because of all these tariffs. If you are, I mean,
let us know
how's that going for you? Give us the secret, because we'd all like a little help. 855-75-CIVIC. I would love to know that. And if suddenly we get a call from Elon or Zuckerberg, because they're probably the only ones who are doing okay. Maybe Bezos.
Zuckerberg took a break from his Chili's gig so that Applebee's or Chili's to come help us out today.
Listen, he's winning so much with the no tax on tips that he's able to just come on. All right, here's a question. We want to know if you have a favorite example of public art. I love public art. We're going to talk about a piece of public art that You might enjoy. Some people are not enjoying it. I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
I can tell you who's not enjoying this one.
Hold on. Let me get. Well, we'll discuss it after. We'll talk public art after this on Daybreak.
648, this is the Civic Media Network.
Local news, community stories, and the conversations that matter most. Now, more Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Welcome back to the Civic Media Network. It is 6:52 right now. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. Good morning. Glad you are with us. I don't know about you, Jamie. I'm guessing you feel the same. I'm a big fan of public art because I'm an activist liberal. I'm a snowflake. I like to be able to see pieces of art. I think
I just like to see cool things.
I like to see cool things. I remember when Minneapolis did the whole thing where there were Peanuts characters everywhere.
Yes.
And they did the Snoopies. And we were up there, and I loved hunting around the city to see if I could find a new Snoopy or see Charlie Brown or something. Chicago, for a long time, did these cows that artists and groups would repaint, and they were beautiful. Fire hydrant stuff. Everywhere you go, if you get the chance to see public art, it's great. And one of the biggest places for outdoor memorials and arts is, of course, Washington, D.C. There's a lot there. You may have heard of a Lincoln Memorial, thing like that. Have you heard of a throne fit for a king? That is the newest piece of public art. It's the latest Trump-themed installation to appear on the National Mall. It's a 10-foot sculpture. It was unveiled March 30th by the anonymous group The Secret Handshake and inspired by the president's recent renovation of the White House's Lincoln bathroom. The group says the installation uses humor and spectacle to prompt political discourse. It is a giant golden toilet.
I love it. I love
do
it.
too.
You've seen the photos of it?
I've seen people sitting on it because you can sit on it to take a picture.
Yes, it's fantastic.
It's great, and it is titled "A Throne Fit for a King." Listen. He loves everything gold. We've seen all the pictures of the Oval Office now are disgusting, in my opinion, garish, and just I don't like that kind of decorating.
It feels like it's gone beyond Liberace. Like it has literally gone beyond Liberace at this point. Everything is gold leafed. Everything looks like a hotel or a motel or Mar-a-Lago where there's signs
It looks like
everywhere.
Caesar's Palace. Everything looks like Caesar's Palace, which is one of the gaudiest hotels in a town that makes its bones on gaudy.
On gaudy. And the thing about it is, too, is gold leafing has its place, but it literally looks like somebody took a gold crayon and colored everything. I mean, if that's what makes him feel more like home, I guess, hopefully it can be undone at some point, too, because
it's what you think rich makes you look rich.
Yeah.
Gold makes me look rich.
But that's always been his MO, right?
I
because
know.
you look at the photos of inside his apartments when he would allow photographers in at one point, everything was gold, everything was glass, everything was basically what he's trying to make this Oval Office into now. It is essentially what it was. There's a pattern.
Tacky and low rent. But yeah, you can go to Washington, you can sit on this big throne. Now that came a month after Secret Handshake's other piece of public art, which was Trump and Epstein in the iconic Titanic pose. Remember when they were at the "I'm the king of the world" on the front of the boat? That was Trump and Epstein. They put that out there, which was lovely. The Secret Handshake said it created the piece as a tribute to Trump during what it described as a time of, quote, unprecedented division, escalating conflict, and economic turmoil. In that context, the group said the president focused on what truly mattered, remodeling the Lincoln bathroom. It's a tribute to a visionary, the group said in a statement, who looked down, saw a problem, and painted it gold. Yes.
I love that they point out that this president always has his eye on the prize and is right there with the pulse of the people, right? Because that's essentially...
Have I mentioned my ballroom, Jamie? It's the greatest ballroom ever. Have I mentioned that? It's going to be the big... People have been clamoring for centuries. For 300 years, people have been saying, why doesn't the United States have a ballroom? Before the country was even a country, somebody in Europe who was living in the Stone Age dreamt of a grand ballroom. I'm bringing it to the people. That's what I do. I'm a visionary. Look at all the gold.
Now, do you have, you mentioned the Peanuts characters in the Twin Cities, you mentioned in Chicago, but do you have like an ultimate favorite public art display that you've seen?
I think it was those two, the cows and Peanuts.
Okay.
But then I still when I see the Picasso in downtown Chicago, it's amazing. I think the bean is, I don't get it, dumb, but people love the
touristy
bean.
thing. It's fun to go take photos by.
It's fun anywhere I'm walking around. Like even if I'm on a college campus and there's a goofy statue, or
Well,
I
of course.
see, where was I? Oh, we went to visit Mizzou, and they had, because that's where the guy who wrote Beetle Bailey came from, and I'm sitting next to Beetle Bailey on a bench. It was just fun. I think it's great that people are exposed to that kind of thing. How about you? Do you have one?
Oh, I've got several. Some of my favorites. One of my favorites is the Spoon Bridge and Cherry in Minneapolis. That's always fantastic.
Oh,
over
yeah,
at the Walker
that's a good
Museum
one.
of Art. That's fantastic. If you look right here in Madison, there's several painted Bucky statues all over, so you can go check those out. Some are businesses, some are just in different locations. There's always the Fawn statue in Milwaukee,
That's
which
true.
is
I forgot
always
about the
iconic,
Fawns.
right? One of my personal favorites is the secret mosaic staircase in San Francisco, because that's so incredible. It's beautiful.
Well, I've never seen that.
Oh, you've never? Oh, I love
No.
it. It's so beautiful, and it looks like the same pattern that they carry through on the front of the steps all the way down. It's fantastic for photos. I also love the Wynwood area in Miami with all the graffiti on the buildings, because we're talking about, if you've never seen, we're talking about multi-story buildings, right? And from top to bottom, in some cases, there's this amazing graffiti all over the side. So that's incredible. I also love, if we're in Wisconsin, I love the trolls in Mount Horeb. Those are always fun.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
Yes, Trollway is always great. And I also love Dr. Evermore's Forevertron in Sauk County. If you don't know who Dr. Evermore was, he created all of these scrap metal sculptures, including like a 300-ton steampunk-inspired machine. And he built it all from scratch. It is one of the coolest places to go explore and have some fun. It's very,
Get
very
out,
fun.
soak up a little art. It's free. And if you're a little, you got a little intestinal distress, go to the National Mall. Sit on Trump's big throne. That'll be fun. When we come back, it's headlines, it's stuff you need to know, and it's hour 2 of the big show. This is Daybreak. I'm Brian Noonan.
I am Jamie Martinson. It is 6:59 right now on the Civic Media Network.
Now back to more of Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Hopefully your Monday is going well so far. A lovely sunny day in most of Wisconsin. Gonna be a little cool on the cool side, though. We saw those warmer temperatures last week, a whole lot of rain. We're going to keep things in the 40s and maybe the low 50s for a good portion of this week. But hey, it's not snowing. There's no ice to talk about. So we'll take what we can get from Mother Nature at this time of the year. I am Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. Good morning. Things escalating in the Middle East. We don't know what. There was a cryptic tweet from the president last night. Not the tweet that we're going to talk about in a little bit. But, one that just said Tuesday, 8 o'clock Eastern time. So we don't know what's going on, but let's look at some headlines from the region. The head of intelligence for Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard, Major General Mahid Kademi, was killed, according to Iranian state media. Israel claimed the killing Monday. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said, quote, Iran's leaders live with a sense of being targeted. We will continue to hunt them down one by one. Been curious. I have not heard. Now, our president is, of course, saying that the war could end in 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Sure.
You don't hear much from Netanyahu. They're not. They're not making any predictions.
Why would you have to? I mean, essentially at this point, if you're watching this from the outside, it seems like Netanyahu drug the United States into this conflict,
Yes.
which is now looks like a war. And now the president is essentially taking care of a majority of what Netanyahu thought he was maybe going to have to do. I mean, it feels a little bit like there was some sort of like a dupe happened, right? Like the president got duped just a little bit into this war.
Wasn't very hard.
At any rate, in other headlines, Israel and the United States carried out a wave of attacks on Iran earlier today, killing more than 25 people. Iran responded with missile fire on Israel and its Gulf Arab neighbors.
Trump's deadline for Tehran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz is looming. Trump gave Tehran a deadline that expires tonight, Washington time, saying if no deal was reached to reopen the strait, the U.S. would hit Iran's power plants and other infrastructure targets and set the country, quote, back to the Stone Ages. Now, it's going to be interesting as we follow what is going to happen this week, and I think it's not going to be a great week. But when you start targeting and come right out and say you're going to target civilian infrastructure, that is a war crime. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if, and I doubt Congress will grow a backbone on a number of things, which we'll get into. But yeah,
how many times can we have the president of the United States put posts out like this, and talk about these things in such
as many as he wants, apparently, Jamie,
and nobody. And everybody pushes back saying, well, it's just a tweet. He didn't actually mean it. How many times can we allow that to continue to happen before somebody takes it seriously? And we'll get into more of that discussion.
Yeah,
here in just a few
that's the
minutes.
first thing on stuff you need to know. So,
So we'll get there. We'll get there. In other headlines, Egyptian, Pakistani, and Turkish mediators have sent Iran and the U.S. a proposal calling for a 45-day ceasefire and the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz to give time to find a way to end the war. That's according to two Mideast officials and what they have told the Associated Press. Iran and the United States have not responded to this proposal.
And finally, the death toll from the war has risen to more than 1,900 people in Iran and over 1,200 people in Lebanon. Iran's government has not updated the toll for days. In Gulf Arab states and the occupied West Bank, more than 24 people have died, while 19 have been reported dead in Israel, and 13 U.S. service members have been killed. So those are the headlines coming out of the Middle East. Now, Parker, there is a lot more stuff we need to know.
It's a wake-up call in more ways than one. Time for some you need to know.
All right, well, we've been alluding to it. We've been dancing around it, but let's get into it. The president yesterday threatened to bomb Iran's power plants and bridges by Tuesday if Tehran does not reopen the Strait of Hormuz, posting an expletive-laden message on Truth Social that escalated the war of words ahead of a fast-approaching deadline. This is the post. Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it, 3 exclamation points. Open the effing strait, you crazy... Can I say bastards? I think I just did. And you will be living in hell. All caps, just watch. Then he threw in, praise be to Allah, President Donald J. Trump. To say this is outrageous, to say I was shocked by this is an understatement. And I think every rational human being, not just Americans, but rational human being. Jamie, do you remember a time when you worked in news a long time? We've both been on the radio a long time when you couldn't directly quote the president. Like the president will put out a statement that we had to redact certain words and we had to never. No. This is a man who has lost touch with reality. To put this out, this is your diplomacy. This is how it goes. I've never been more embarrassed of an administration in my life.
Here's the question that I had when I saw this, first and foremost. If you are somebody who voted for President Trump, and I'm not judging you on your vote. We all have the right to vote for whoever we want. But if you voted for him because of his Christian values, right? he posted this tweet on Easter morning. Easter Sunday, full of profanity, and then ends with praise Allah? How does that sit with you? If you voted for this man because of the Christian values, because of the Republicans, because whatever the reason was, how does that legitimately sit with you when this is what he is putting on his personal social media.
But I have to question, and I know, listen, I don't want to, pardon me, I don't blame Trump voters for his actions.
No.
But I do have to say, if you're hiding behind, I voted for this man because of his Christian values, you weren't paying attention to the 34 indictments. You weren't paying attention to his track record. But then you can't say I voted for him because he's a Christian, because you've completely invalidated your point, because you voted for a man who is clearly not driven by Christian values. And again, who will hold the Bible upside down, says, cannot give a Bible verse because the whole book is his favorite. There's nothing in his past that indicated that he truly lived by the values that he preached. He found a way to convince the Christian nationalists that he was behind them, that he was one of them, and they fell for it. So I'm sorry. Listen, if people are changing their mind, that's great. I don't mean to throw shade, but let's not sugarcoat it, because the problem is we've all made this too normal.
Yes.
This should cause unbelievable outrage. It should get things started to roll with maybe removing a man from office. That we're going to do a civics lesson on the 25th Amendment. There was a lot of calls for this. But just from a very personal level, if you are a devout Christian, on the holiest day of your calendar, your president does this, how can you still support that?
I think it's mind-boggling, and I think back to this was a conversation we had in our house yesterday. Being from South Dakota, I've seen very much of those devout Christians. I have friends who are very much devout Christians, and I think it would be interesting, and I actually want to have a discussion with them. I have to figure out the right way to approach it, because I know they voted for Donald Trump. And I know that they're not okay with this type of language. And I know they wouldn't be okay with praise Allah. And I really do have to figure out the way to have that conversation with them to see how they are feeling after something like this. Or maybe they're just not even paying attention and they don't care. I mean, there could be too. But this is
That's just Trump being Trump, Jamie.
Exactly. But it's not leadership.
It's not.
And here's the thing. Who is going to finally hold this man accountable? If you're looking at here in Wisconsin, where is Ron Johnson? Where is Glenn Grothman? Where is Derek Van Ord? Where's Scott Fitzgerald, Tony Weed, Tom Tiffany? Where are they? Because if they actually think that this is acceptable, then we need to rethink who our leaders in Washington are, not just from the president, but all the way down.
They are cowering like they always have. Lindsey Graham came out and said he is deadly serious when it comes to his ultimatum to Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz or face massive military response against vital infrastructure. If you need me, I'll be at Disney World holding a wand. What? No, that can't be. That couldn't be in there. Iran, of course, responded with defiance. And Mizan, which is an outlet affiliated with Iran's judiciary, said Trump's expletive-laden post had insulted Iranians with vile language, adding that Iran's steadfastness and resistance have driven Trump to the brink of madness, which does seem that you can almost hear the frustrated screaming craziness go, you just do it, you better open. Yeah. It's like, dude, this is not how we do things. This is not how you get any stuff done.
It turns out just because you tweet it, because you put it on Truth Social, doesn't mean that that's diplomacy or it's actually people are going to actually follow through. And it turns out that maybe, just maybe, you miscalculated Iran and what they were actually capable of doing in the Middle East. We've got some text rolling in. Lynn says maybe his account was hacked by the Iranians.
Yeah.
Well, you never know.
Cash could be.
Yeah, and Len also chiming in this morning, the president is a reflection of its support, and the support is a reflection of its president. If you do want to comment this morning, 1-855-752-4842, 1-855-75-CIVIC.
Let's get to the one big piece of good news, though, that came out of the Middle East over the weekend. The pilot or the serviceman who was shot down, the second of this plane, was found. Now this one, okay, I'm glad the president tweeted this. We got him. Over the last several hours, the United States military pulled off one of the most daring search and rescue operations in U.S. history. I am thrilled to let you know our missing airman is now safe and sound. This type of raid is seldom attempted because of the dangers to man and equipment. It just doesn't happen. That was a post yesterday morning, and it was really good news because the pilot of this F-15 that was shot down, the pilot was found immediately, but the weapons operator was missing. He made it into the mountains. Some reports say all he had to defend himself was a pistol. The Iranians were coming in close. The CIA had mounted some deceptive missions in the area, saying that he had been rescued already in hopes that to lure the Iranians away from him. And this weapons system officer stayed alive and stayed hidden long enough for this huge hundreds of people and hundreds of different personnel to effect this rescue deep inside Iran. So we got to give kudos and say this was great news.
Yes, it was great news. And let's be realistic. What we saw happen there is actual courage and actual sacrifice by the military members of this country because they've been pulled into this war by the president. But anytime you see a story like that, when it involves your military, there is that sense of happiness, pride, relief, all at the same time.
So great job to all the men and women responsible for that rescue, and glad that these two pilots and two soldiers are back. So that's good. We'll lighten it up for a few minutes, I guess. Swiper Stay is next, so hang around. It's Daybreak.
7:19 right now. You are listening to the Civic Media Network.
Let's break out of the bubble and see what's happening out there in pop culture. It's Swiper Stay on Daybreak.
7:22 right now. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Civic Media Network. This is where we put the politics aside for a few minutes. We don't talk about the president tweeting. And we actually talk about some other headlines, or do we? I don't know. I'm watching Frank's face right now.
No, we're not
What do you
going
got,
to.
Frank?
Okay,
We're
all right.
not going to talk about the president and praise be to Allah and all that stuff.
Good. All right.
As a president
7
normally
minutes.
does. No,
one
we're
does.
we're not going to. We're
On
not going to
Easter?
talk about him
Well,
for
what
this.
are we
on
going to
Easter.
do?
Okay.
Let's not
We're
tell you
gonna.
what we're
Here's
not
how
gonna
this
do.
is going to work. If
Yeah.
you're new to the show, I'm going to read some pop culture headlines that Brian and Jamie may or may not know about, and they're going to decide whether they want to hear more of the story or if they want to swipe right on to the next one.
Okay.
In the case that they can't make up their minds, producer Parker will be our tiebreaker. So let's move on to story number 1. We have a sexual harassment suit dropped against a celebrity.
Ooh.
I'm always up for a good
Must-
sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Oh, suit. A story about a suit. I frown on
Jamie,
sexual
Jamie, can you make sure Brian takes the training with HR?
Okay. Yep. Got it.
Why
So-
can't I tell her she's pretty?
Here's the deal. I can't believe I have now talked about this story across 2 states and multiple stations over a few years now.
Oh, my God.
Let us all hope it's almost over. A judge just dismissed 10 of Blake Lively's 13 complaints
my
against
God.
former co-star and director Justin Baldoni, including a sexual harassment accusation. Here's what's left. Her accusations of retaliation, breach of contract, and aiding and abetting retaliation for a jury trial. The trial is set for May 18th. Now, here's the real question.
Yes.
Are we going to be able to watch this like the Johnny Depp Amber Heard
Ooh.
trial?
God,
because
I
that
hope
was the
so.
greatest
That was
thing on
great.
That was
television.
fantastic.
I hope so, too.
Yeah.
I got stung by a bee. Oof. It was the greatest thing ever. The whole thing was just so bizarre.
It was.
So quotable.
what
The
in the
mega
bed?
pints of wine.
Yeah.
She did what in the bet? The whole thing was just great.
All right. Well,
Camila
I can't
Mendez,
believe this.
never forget.
Can't believe this Blake Lively thing is still going on.
Well, here we are. How many?
And-
How long has this been going on? How many years?
I think 3.
Oh my gosh, the
I
movie
think
wasn't
3
even that
years. It was. Thank you for that, Jamie.
great. You're welcome.
That's all you need to know about this one. We have a pop star that has announced their long-anticipated 3rd album.
Oh,
Swipe.
Oh, okay. World-renowned athlete names Milwaukee as a city he doesn't like to play in.
Well, screw him. Let's see. Yeah, stay.
Stay.
Oh boy.
Parker already knows it. Any
This is
guesses from you two? Who the
Giannis?
star athlete is?
I was
It
just
is
gonna say
not.
Giannis, oh.
It is not Giannis. Giannis is staying. The money is green and it is good.
All
He's
right.
not
Giannis is
happy,
staying.
though. He's
That's
not
not what he's
happy.
saying.
Milwaukee,
Oh gosh.
Oh, I hope he gets Charles Barkley. He hates everywhere. Fat women in San Antonio. It's terrible. Terrible.
He
Is
loves the
Milwaukee
women in
terrible?
Milwaukee. Jamie, any guesses?
I have no idea. No idea.
Everybody's favorite player, LeBron James, says he doesn't like playing in two cities while he was on a podcast that released last week. Those cities being Memphis and Milwaukee.
41 years old. It's two cities I do not like playing in right now. And that's Milwaukee and that's me. What is the problem? I don't like going home either.
So he doubled down and he threw Cleveland in there, his
Yeah, sure.
hometown.
Throw that
What's
on
his
the list.
problem with him?
So
What's the
his
beef?
issue is he doesn't like the travel to those cities and he
Wow.
doesn't like the lodging.
Oh, where?
Where do they
Like-
put up the traveling players? The
At the
Fister?
Hyatt.
Oh, the Hyatt.
Oh, Hyatt.
He said he said, do you think I want to go stay at a Hyatt in Milwaukee on a Tuesday?
Wow.
Maybe you need a new career.
Wow.
Might be time to retire.
Wow. Where do they usually put players? The Hyatt's pretty nice.
Look, man, I don't know. You're
Pampered.
LeBron. Like he said, he's 41 years old.
Maybe he needs special beds now because he's getting up there in age.
Are you surprised, though? It's
No.
LeBron James.
No,
No.
not at all.
No, but it's there's no okay. Next story. There's no whatever.
Yeah.
Celebrity couple welcomes their first child.
I'm gonna swipe.
Swipe.
Brian and Jamie said, forget them kids. We're moving on to the next one. That's a nice way of saying it.
I want something torrid, Frank.
That's right. Something juicier.
Well, we've come to our last story. So
Oh,
we have a big spender that is pulling their sponsorship from a UK festival over an artist booking.
I feel like
Oh.
since we have 2 minutes, we better say stay.
I'm gonna stay.
You should say stay.
Okay.
So Pepsi has decided to pull out as a main sponsor for Wireless Festival in the United Kingdom. A spokesperson for Pepsi, which has been a long-standing partner and headline sponsor of the festival for several years, wrote in a statement, Pepsi has decided to withdraw its sponsorship of Wireless Festival. The beverage company didn't share details on its reason for pulling its sponsorship. However, the decision came right after Kanye West was booked to headline for 3 days.
Really?
3 whole days of Kanye.
Is Kanye a Coke person? Coca-Cola, not.
More of a swastika person.
Oh,
Oh,
Listen, Pepsi very anti-fascist, and I prefer Pepsi to Coke,
Is-
and that's a
is
hot take
Kanye-
that I will not take back.
Is Kanye going to come on stage like he did that one year on SNL dressed as a water bottle? Is that what he...
we can
is
only
that-
hope.
Okay.
3
All right.
days of Kanye. That sounds like
Yeah.
Five Nights at Freddy, another horror movie. 3
Basically.
days of Kanye.
But he has in recent months come out and say that his mental health is the reason he was all for being a Nazi and all this stuff and sold swastika t-shirts.
They tried that
on
at
his
Nuremberg,
website.
Frank.
In
That,
fact,
that
it was the
didn't work.
only shirt he sold on his website for a period of time. But yeah, the saga continues. The hardcore Ye fans are going to go, but Pepsi will not be one of them. That's swipe or stay.
Wow. Thank you, Frank. Always
You're
a
welcome.
pleasure. Always interesting stuff. I got to kudos to Pepsi, disassociating from Nazis. I like that. When we come back, could Kamala's time be passed? Well, we'll say why we're positing that question. It's Daybreak. This is the Civic Media Network.
Across the state of Wisconsin, Daybreak with Brian and Jamie is back.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having us on today. You are listening to the Civic Media Network. It's 7:35 right now. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. 855-75-CIVIC is our number. Is Kamala Harris's time passed? And if so, we already know we don't have one yet. Who should be the Democratic nominee for president? I know it's a couple years away, but it's never too early to think about a new regime. The reason this came up is because Kamala Harris is going to be in New York on Friday at the National Action Network's 35th anniversary convention. This move is sure to spark some more speculation, which has been ongoing, that she is going to run again for president in 2028. You feel one way or another about it, but it's a gathering hosted by civil rights organization founder Al Sharpton. It's going to give the former vice president and other potential Democratic presidential contenders an opportunity to speak directly to an influential gathering of black leadership and activists who play a key part in getting the party rolling. So there was in the things I was reading, there was a veteran strategist who said, and this strategist is within Kamala Harris's orbit, as they like to say. The only signal that is very clear is that she is going to continue to be incredibly important fighting force and voice for Democrats for the country. She's been out of the headlines, which you don't really hear about her, but then her book, she goes on the tour. She didn't run for governor of California, which people thought she was going to do. So that was like, okay. And she's been very critical of the war in Iran. Recently, she said he brought America into a war that people don't want, and he's put American troops in harm's way. Costs are rising by the day. And meanwhile, he has done nothing to address the needs of the American people. So, Jamie, she came very close. I don't know if she's been working on her laugh. Her laugh, very annoying to a lot of people. But what do you think? Is her time past? Should she step aside? Or because most of what she campaigned on and said was going to happen has happened, is she being proven a visionary, and maybe this time people can use their heads and go, we don't care how a person laughs. They didn't swear at another country during a war.
Right. This is true. Here's what I'm going to say about this. I spent most of 2024 covering Kamala Harris for this network. Numerous stops across the great state of Wisconsin.
She was all over Wisconsin.
She was. And also spent a lot of time covering the Trump campaign as well. She's dynamic. She's energetic. She's super smart. And let me be clear when I give this opinion, this isn't cold feet because she lost last time. I think she's more than qualified. I thought Hillary was more than qualified to be president. I don't believe she should. And mostly because this country is not ready for a woman president. I don't care how bad.
How long are we going to say that, though?
But they're not. And I don't care how bad this administration is. I don't care how bad this administration is. Voters are not, at this point, men and women, are not going to vote for a woman quite yet. We're not there yet.
But the old argument used to be that women were too emotional to be. Well, we've got a big baby man in there now. He was the listen.
first
I've dealt with a
go-around.
lot of women. There couldn't be a woman more emotional than what we have in the Oval Office right now.
Agreed. I absolutely agree. But at the end of the day, I think it's still the fact that people in this country think that a man is more adept at running this country than a woman was. And that's a shame. And I don't say that lightly, because I hope that someday there is a woman president. I would be so ecstatic if we had a woman president. But for a lot of this country, being more than qualified is not enough. In fact, it's seen as a detriment, because then they think, oh, she knows too much, or
Smarty pants.
Yes. I mean, it's a total double standard that we see in this country, especially when we see this president, or we've seen other male candidates on both sides of the aisle try to vie for the office as well.
855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Do you agree with Jamie? Are we not ready in 2026, and now it'll be 2028 for the election? Are we really still that backwards that we don't think a woman could do the job? Then who should? So we'd like to hear from you. But you make a sad point And I'm not saying that your point is wrong. I'm just saying I can't believe it at this point. And listen, as a guy who's seen nothing but male presidents, some have done good, some have done bad. There's a point where it's like, you gotta try something different.
Yeah.
Because electing really old guys is dumb.
Yeah.
And then
It doesn't get us anywhere.
We're also not, I don't think, if we go with your point and your contention that we're not ready for a woman, we're also not ready for young presidents. Like,
No.
oh, there's such a big, when Obama and Clinton were elected, they're too young. And then there's Pete Buttigieg. Well, he's too young. And he's gay. We can't have that either. So, what do we, and then we complain. Oh, all we get is the same thing. Well, you have been offered options, America. Yeah. You have chosen not to take them. So you get what you deserve and you get what you claim you're tired of, but you vote for them again. So then it's our fault. At first I was on board with Kamala running again. And I know it would be a hard sell. You could spin it that she only had a very short time to campaign, and look how well she did in the campaign in that short amount of time. You could argue that, yes, everything is that she said was going to happen happened. She was the one who was going to send your kids to war. Mm-hmm. No. She was the one who was going to raise prices. She was the one who was going to raise gas. Everything. Everything was going to be bad with her. Everything they claimed was going to happen with her has happened with Trump. And it's not good. But I don't say no because of the woman thing. I say no because she's damaged goods, basically. Yeah. And the Democrats are so fickle in how we choose to support candidates. The fact that she already lost once is going to disqualify her in some Democratic voters' minds because they are still searching for the perfect candidate.
Well, look what they did to Hillary. Hillary was also seen as damaged goods based on her track record as Secretary of State. All of the things that we found out were not actually illegal, or she had maybe misconstrued a little bit, but weren't illegal. She wasn't actually breaking laws, and Democratic voters could not handle it. And I think when you start ignoring the reality of that, and when you start ignoring the reality of where a majority of this country still is. I mean, let's talk about the young male voters. They swung to Trump in 2024.
Parker.
Like you wouldn't believe. I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but it was a huge swing. It was a huge swing. That tells me right there that there is a huge swath of this country that is still not ready, no matter how bad this president is. And if you start being that fickle and you don't look at those things, you're going to lose elections. And that's what the Democrats have done. Now, I think the other piece of this is you're going to, at some point, have to be able to sway some of those rural voters who are a little on the fence about this particular administration. Kamala Harris isn't going to do that. Gavin Newsom isn't going to do that, just being from California, because I know he's a name that people like to keep throwing out there right now.
So who? All right, if you're a rural voter,
the scary part.
Yeah, who is there? Because you run down the list. All right, Hakeem Jeffries. Well, probably not for rural voters. No. Anybody from a coast is and rural vote. If you're in a rural market and you're listening, please set me straight if I'm off base.
Please, yeah.
But I don't think, there'll be anybody from the coast is going to be viewed as an elitist, out of touch. Who from the Midwest? Well, J.B. Pritzker is being thrown about as a possible contender. But is he too? Well, Illinois has a lot of problems with taxes and da-da-da-da-da.
Sure.
And here's a guy, here's a privilege.
Billionaire.
Yes,
he's also
he's
seen
an
as a
elitist,
billionaire, you know? So.
And then you go, okay, well, then we all right. Well, no, then we got to rule out any other female candidate because if we're going by that. So who's left?
I don't know.
Bernie again? Please. Bernie is damaged goods. Don't as much as I admire he's 106, and as much as I admire Bernie Sanders on some of his stuff, stay out of it this time. Yeah. Bernie, just endorse somebody. Get
Yes.
behind somebody and endorse them, and don't muddy the waters. You're not going to, you've lost enough.
Right.
You're good in the Senate. You're great in the Senate. Stay in
yes.
the Senate.
Oh, I totally agree.
Al
I
Franken,
also feel
we'll bring him back, resurrect
well, you
him.
know, Al Franken, as
Maybe-
it turns out, wasn't actually guilty of much.
Nothing.
Either.
Oh, please, nothing. If maybe we go with the Republican plan. Would the Democrats be behind a female candidate if she was a reality star? Maybe we get one of the Real Housewives. Maybe we get a contestant from Temptation Island. Would that make Democrats happy?
We've got a caller on the phone lines right now. We've got Cole from Sun Prairie who wants to weigh in on this conversation. Good morning, Cole. So what are your thoughts? Kamala Harris again or no?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I agree with most of what you're saying on the air here. Outright, I don't think she should run again. It sucks because, yes, it'd be great to have a woman president. It sucks that we have to premise these statements with, I voted for Hillary, I voted for Kamala. But the truth is, like you said, the country, I don't even know if it's that the country isn't ready for it. It's more of like we need to read the room, see where we're at in the current political climate, and who is going to be able to deal with that. And what are we dealing with? We're dealing with people who are trying to destroy our government. And so it's not just enough, I don't think, to talk about, housing for people. Like, yes, that's all very important, and we need somebody that's going to take care of that kind of stuff. But at this point, we need somebody that's going to be a bulldog and fight back with everything that they've got to push Congress to enact legislation that's going to codify all of these niceties that the country has been sitting on for centuries, so that we actually have guardrails that can be enforced on something like this in the future. And I think that people want that. And if we don't see somebody with the gusto, with the fight, with the rhetoric that gets us moving in that direction for 2028, I don't know that anybody is going to stand much of a chance, because it's not enough to just say, oh, I'm not Trump, I'm not Republican.
Right.
No,
Yes,
you
that works,
can't do that
But we know
anymore.
we need independence, right?
Right.
Yep.
And independence, they don't pay enough attention to all that stuff. They're right or wrong. In 2024, they were listening to what's my paycheck, gas prices, blah, 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 blah. That's what they're focusing on. And so we got to have somebody that's going to be very aggressive. And I don't think Kamala gets that done.
Well,
Thank you
Cole,
for the
thank
call
you
this
for the
morning.
call. Jolene brings up, she's listening on WMDX in Madison. She says Mark Kelly and Frank and Poinette said we lost ground because of old white men. Most people I run into are lucky they know who their governor is. Dems will screw it up and have 20 candidates, just like they're doing here in Wisconsin.
With the primary for governor.
Yeah, very interesting, very interesting. Hey, let's have a few lighthearted animal stories just to cleanse our palate, shall we? We'll do that next. It's Daybreak on the Civic Media Network.
Fairly solid and better than expected. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
7:52 right now. We hope that your morning is going well so far. And oh my goodness, Brian, we're about to talk about animals, so I think it's going very well on a Monday.
Yes, well, I figured, we got to balance out all the craziness with a little fun, and this is an homage to a great radio legend, Larry Lujak, who was a top 40 guy on WLS, which was heard all over the country, and he had animal stories. And I happened to be looking through, and I saw an animal story that came from Wisconsin, and I thought, oh, that'll be fun. And then I saw another cat story, and I thought, oh, that'll be fun. And I was going for the trifecta, but I didn't have a third cat story. But we do have another story, so we'll see what we got.
Does this piggyback off of Chesney, our little kangaroo from Deceta who got out?
Yes, we love finding out about Chesney's return, and
yes,
who doesn't love animals? If you don't like animals, you're soulless. You're soulless. Well, let's start with this one. Well, I'll let you pick, Jamie. Do you want Wisconsin, or do you want New York for your cat story?
I want to do Wisconsin
All
because
right,
this
you
is a
do
great
Wisconsin.
story. I love this. So this is about a stuck little kitten and firefighters who did a really great thing. They had to respond to a home where this little tiny kitten was stuck inside the family's radiator. And in fact, the Green Bay Metro Fire Department had to go to social media and say that Truck 2 was dispatched to this home where a young kitten was reported to be stuck. They said, quote, "We're happy to report that this little guy was safely removed without injury and joyfully reunited with his owners." The department said firefighters are always proud to help our furry friends in need. Out of all of the things our firefighters could be doing, the fact that they took time out of their day to go help a stuck kitten is pretty darn awesome.
And I
love
thought that was just, an old stereotype, the firefighters saving a cat from a tree.
No.
So that was Wisconsin. Cats are getting into all sorts of trouble. They're
Mischief.
rascals everywhere they go. Firefighters in New York came to the rescue of a cat that spent 2 days trapped inside the wall of a home's basement. This was the Springville Volunteer Fire Department. They responded to Jessica Talent's home during the weekend when she discovered Freya, a 5-year-old cat belonging to her mother, was inside the basement wall. And this was not a weird serial killer kind of thing. She said she had been cat sitting for Freya for a few days when the feline vanished. And she later realized the cat was inside the walls. She got some pictures while firefighters worked to locate and free the cat. We did try a thermal imaging camera.
Wow.
And it would not pick up the small amount of body heat from a small cat. So we found out where it was, isolated a small area of drywall to be cut so we wouldn't ruin the person's whole wall, and it worked. Once we got her out of there, another one of our firemen got in there and grabbed the cat out. That's according to Second Assistant Fire Chief Phil Drozard. He told the local TV station. So, man, who would have thought 2 firemen saving cat stories? That's just that. It makes you feel good, and good for you, fire departments, even volunteer fire departments, for getting in there. And I love that they use thermal imaging. They use the whole thing
They were
instead
doing
of just
everything
going
they
in.
could.
Yeah, just destroying
Sledging
somebody's
and
basement.
sledging the wall.
Yeah, you want the cat out? We'll get the cat out.
Here's why I do like cats, but here's why I will always be a dog person, simply because I never have to guess where Aspie's at.
No.
She's always going to be wherever I'm at, or she's
That's
going to
it.
be in the middle of the rug, and I'm going to trip over the top of her,
Yes.
and it's going to be perfectly fine. I never
Yeah.
have to worry about her getting stuck in a wall somewhere.
No, cats are, this is what you get for being an independent. Cats think they're above
Yes.
everything. They're
Yes.
Yeah, you're cool till you get stuck in a wall, you jerk.
I'm convinced that cats want all humans to die. That's how they look at us.
Yep.
Like, we are only here because to inconvenience them. That is the look that I get from
They are
those cats.
so ungrateful. Cats have zero dogs, and yes, I need that affirmation that
I
a
do
dog
too.
gives me.
I do.
I need the affirmation that they're grateful that I feed them, that
Yes.
they're happy to see me when I come in.
Yes.
I don't want the equivalent of a middle finger that I
Right.
still have to clean its poop out of a box. You don't get to flip me off if I'm picking up your
Right.
clumps.
Right.
Agreed.
Agreed.
The last one, we got to talk about a renegade emu, Jamie, because why wouldn't you?
Oh,
I know people
love
tuning in this morning are like, you got to talk about Trump. Yeah, but we got animal control deputies in Virginia responded to an unusual situation. They were called to wrangle a renegade emu, and that is not a euphemism. The Powhatan Sheriff's Office said on social media that animal control officers were dispatched when the emu was spotted wandering loose. Just hanging out, walking around. Deputies used crime scene tape to create a movable fence to keep the emu contained. You got to give it up to
Pretty
these
good.
deputies.
That's good thought.
Right? That's
process.
very creative.
Yeah.
The big bird named Possum was loaded into his owner's trailer and transported home safely.
How did it get loose? I have so many questions. Why
There's
did they have an emu? What happened?
No reports on the emu, just how it got loose. We don't know if it was a Chesney situation and dogs scared it. We don't
have
know
so
if it
many
was
questions.
just Emu's Day Out, which is going to be a great movie, voiced by
that'll be a good
probably
kids'
Jack
book.
Black.
Good kids book.
Yeah, it'll be a good kid's book. Emu's Day Out.
Possum was an emu who lived on a farm. One day, Possum had just about enough of farm life and decided it was time to go to the big city. But how would
See?
Possum get there? He didn't have a ride.
You could envision it. Kids would go crazy. You would have little emus that you could sell to go along with the book. It's a whole marketing
Oh,
thing.
Coles will get into the
impressed
whole
that they
thing.
Got the emu. Emus are tanks.
Yeah, they're
Like,
not small birds, and
no.
they move quickly.
No.
They're not
Yes.
exactly friendly,
Yes.
Parker.
And this is a weird thing I'm aware of. There was a war against emus in Australia.
Wait, what?
Because,
What?
yes.
What?
Oh, is this new to you?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, you got a
Hold
minute.
on.
Spill the
I don't-
beans.
I don't remember when it was. It was probably in the 80s or
war
so.
on
There was
emus.
a war against emus in Australia because the population was too large,
Oh.
and they're massive animals.
Yes.
So it takes a lot of bullets to kill an emu. They gave up because
Oh.
they couldn't.
Was it just
control them
survival
enough.
of the fittest? The emus
Hold
just
on.
handled themselves
The
from there?
emus were just
Can
fine.
we not gloss over Parker's statement? It takes a lot of bullets to kill an emu. Can we
'Cause they're big
not
birds.
just let that go?
Birds.
Like, how do you know, Parker?
Australia lost the war to emus.
All right. Wow. Okay.
Turns out
If
the
you
US
learn
is-
nothing else from this show, take away that it takes a lot of bullets to kill an emu. Happy
is true.
Monday. This
also,
is
turns
Daybreak.
out the U.S. is losing a war in Iran. We'll get to that.
Get to that,
It's
too.
It's the Civic Media Network.
Wisconsin wakes up here. Back to Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning. We hope that your Monday's off to a great start. If you're listening in Wausau on WXCO or in Appleton and Oshkosh on WISS or in Richland Center on WRCE, we are glad that you decided to join us on this Monday. My name is Jamie Martinson.
Good morning. I'm Brian Noonan. We are glad you're here. Let's turn our attention to the golf because there's going to be a lot of talk about different aspects of that this hour. In fact, we have a civics lesson based on one of the things that is happening in the Gulf region in the Iran war. U.S. President Trump appeared to set a Tuesday, 8 o'clock Eastern time deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz following a profanity-laced message warning of attacks on its infrastructure. Iranian officials say the strait will reopen when they are, quote, fully compensated for war damages. Good luck.
Oh, I was just going to say good luck. Are they going to
He
wait
hasn't
2
fully
weeks for their check,
compensated the
too?
people who demolished the East Wing.
No, not yet. There might still be people from projects in the 1980s that are waiting for full compensation from Donald Trump. Iranian security chief has been killed, according to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps. They say their head of intelligence was killed early this morning. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said that Major General Majid Kademi was directly responsible for the deaths of Israeli citizens.
I gave you the one with all the names. Six children were among those killed in overnight Israel U.S. strikes on Iran. State media reported that. 2 people were killed and 2 are missing after an Iranian strike on a residential building in Haifa, Israel.
And finally, headlines out of Iran this morning. Trump will hold a news conference later today on the rescue of an F-15 crew member whose jet was downed over Iran. Do you think he's going to take questions from the press and talk about the tweet, the Truth Social post that he put out yesterday morning on Easter, where he praised Allah?
They'll try to ask him. He will then call them fake news and everything. And I really wish, and there's no way this would happen. I wish somebody from the Joint Chiefs would give this press conference about the rescue, because this is, by all accounts, an unbelievably dangerous, heroic measure to rescue this pilot. The coordination between not only the CIA but the military to get it done far behind enemy lines. I want to hear it without the grandiose backslapping that Donald Trump will put on, like he theorized and planned and executed this. I want to hear from the people who were directly involved in it, because it deserves its own credit. It deserves to be celebrated.
Right.
But he will not give it that. He will make it about himself, as he does with everything. So that's unfortunate. But we can't let that take away from the celebration of this really successful, very impressive military operation, which came out successful. All right, well, that's some of the things you need to know, but there's always more you need to know.
It's a wake-up call in more ways than one. Time for some you need to know.
Yes. Jamie, this is right out of the playbook.
It is.
This first story. Why don't you? I'm so angry, but I sound like I'm happy. That's the thing. I push it down. Push it down. Everybody thinks I'm happy till I snap.
Squash it.
Yes, I'm going to squash it. So, yeah, this was in the playbook.
Yes, absolutely. President Donald Trump now wants the Transportation Security Administration, TSA, they've been in the news a lot lately, to turn over more airport security screening to private companies, at least according to his new 2027 budget proposal that was released on Friday. Boy, oh boy, is that an anti-people budget. The issue gained traction in recent weeks as many airports across the country saw long lines at checkpoints due to the ongoing partial government shutdown that left TSA employees without paychecks. Of course, the president's latest push is part of this annual proposal that was submitted by the Office of Management and Budget to Congress and is a largely symbolic reflection of the president's priorities for the upcoming fiscal year. Now, Friday's budget proposal suggests that federal government should begin the process of privatizing TSA's airport security screening. It would require small airports to enroll in TSA screening partnership program under which TSA pays for private screeners. The administration says that this move would save $52 million and begin reform of a troubled federal agency. I thought Elon was supposed to handle all that. At any rate, currently 20 airports in the United States already have private companies operating the security checkpoints under contracts supervised by the TSA. They include San Francisco International, Kansas City International, Orlando, Sanford, and 17 smaller airports that participate. Here's my question on this.
Yeah.
What is it going to mean? I've got two, actually. What is it going to mean for airports like Dane County Regional, Milwaukee Mitchell International, or Green Bay Austin Strobel International Airport? And is this pitch more about lining his inner circle's pockets? Because who is going to own these companies? And who's going to actually be getting this money? Those are the questions you should be asking yourself about.
The first question, the answer is probably based on track record. They don't care how it's going to affect those airports. The second question is the most important. The question is who owns these companies and how much does he stand to pocket off of privatization of TSA? That's what it is. Because until the government shutdown, there really wasn't a problem with TSA.
Right.
People were not waiting in. So, if you were there at rush hour on the day before Thanksgiving, you were waiting in line for right. But on regular days, you weren't waiting that long. So there wasn't a problem till he created the problem. And we knew this was coming. This was part of Project 2025. This is no surprise. And now it's happening, and people are going to be like, well, maybe that's... Didn't you see all those lines? Yeah, why were there all those lines? Yeah. It all falls into place. It's not hard to figure out.
I mean, this is why during the entire TSA DHS shutdown, which, by the way, is still not completely solved, but the Congress has been on recess, at least TSA has gotten their paychecks. The lines at the airports don't seem to be as obnoxious as they were during the shutdown when nobody was getting paychecks. But this is what I kept coming back to. This president likes to manufacture problems so that he can go in and either A, be the solver of said problems, or in this particular case, B, particularly line the pockets of donors or people within his circle and his orbit.
Or
so
himself.
there's always a reason for the things that are happening, and it's usually because it comes back to benefiting this president or the people that he knows or who have put him into the White House. That's right. That's what it comes down to.
And this will be no different. All right, tomorrow there is an election here in Wisconsin. Yes, it's the Supreme Court. We know that. There's all kind of things. A lot of focus over the last, since 2020 about early voting and mail-in voting and everybody else. Well, yesterday was the last day to vote early in Wisconsin's Supreme Court race. As of Friday, the most recent data available said that 280,732 Wisconsin voters cast their ballots early, either in person or by mail. That, according to the Wisconsin Elections Commission, that represents about 70% of those who requested an absentee ballot. So that pretty good. The final voter turnout in the race will include how many people cast their ballots at the polls on Election Day. We know that. Turnout for the Supreme Court race, and we've talked about this a lot, far lower compared to the two previous state Supreme Court races. Experts previously told the Journal Sentinel that the turnout in this election is typical of an average election. So yeah, I think it would be almost impossible to match the intensity of last year's election. So among all counties, Milwaukee, Dane, and Waukesha counties have cast the most absentee ballots so far. Milwaukee County received 46,000, a little over 46,000 absentee ballots. Dane County received just over 40, Waukesha just below 35,000. And of course, you know this. These are the three most populous counties in Wisconsin. Voters can still cast their ballot early. You got to call your clerk's office for in-person drop-off instructions, or you can vote tomorrow before 8 p.m. That's when the polls close.
Polls will open tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. So you
7 a.m. Go before
do it on your way to
work.
work. That's
Go
right.
after work. No excuse. Vote, vote, vote.
And if you need instructions on where to vote, myvote.wi.gov. And remember, you can always find your polling place there. But if you are not registered to vote and you are worried about the school board referendums, if you're worried about some of these circuit court judge races that are on several of these ballots, because let's remember, politics starts at the local level. If you are worried about any of those and you are not registered to vote, you can do so at the polls tomorrow. Have your ID, bring a bank statement or a bill with your current address on it, and you can register at the polls and cast your vote. I mean, I know this one's gone a little under the radar for several different reasons. I know that here in Wisconsin, we're probably tired of talking about elections and voting because we do it so often. But at the same time, this is literally the start of the election season here, and this is what is going to start shaping our state from the ground up with the courts and with the referendums. And if you're worried about property taxes, remember 72 counties have referendums on the ballot for property taxes and funding of those school districts. So it is important to be at the polls. And we're going to have some coverage here tomorrow night, by the way.
Sure.
So we're going to be doing web-based coverage and a blog coverage of the events over the night, and so you can tune into our social medias and hear our interim news director John Scott covering the elections tomorrow evening.
And if you're one of these voters who says, I don't know too much about these Supreme Court justices, you could go to civicmedia.us. We had a nice conversation with candidate Chris Taylor the other day. We did reach out to Maria Lazar. She declined to join us. So, but if you want to know what Chris Taylor is thinking about her candidacy for the state Supreme Court, you go to civicmedia.us. You can click on the show tab. Go. It's a process, but you'll get there. Just look for Daybreak, and then somehow there's whatever. You know
there's
how websites work.
And there's things
Yeah,
and all of that.
you know what to do. So go and do that and see what's up. But don't forget to vote. This is very exciting. I know I'm still enthralled by this. The Artemis 2 astronauts are already setting a new record. They're going for a distance record now. They launched last week. It's the first trip to the moon since 1972. 3 American astronauts, 1 Canadian astronaut, chasing Apollo 13's maximum range from the Earth. And that is going to make them our planet's farthest emissaries as they swing around the moon without stopping. They're going to swing around it today, and then they're going to head back home. Their roughly 6-hour lunar flyby promises views of the moon's far side that were too dark or too difficult to see by the 24 Apollo astronauts who preceded them. A total solar eclipse also awaits them as the moon blocks the sun, exposing snippets of shimmering corona. Not the beer, friends. No, actually something. So right now, Apollo 13 holds the distance record from Earth. Their astronauts missed out on a moon landing. You know the story when one of the oxygen tanks ruptured. Well, Artemis 2 astronauts are following the same figure-8 path since they are neither orbiting the moon nor landing on it, but the distance from Earth should exceed Apollo 13 by nearly 3,400 miles. During the flyby, the astronauts will split into pairs and take turns capturing lunar views out their windows. Yeah, get out of the way, Bob! I want to see the moon, too. Shut up! So they're taking shifts. They're professionals. They know what they're doing. But this is exciting. So
It
now
is
they're going to
exciting.
whip around the moon, and then they're
Yeah.
going to. And then when
I
I
love
say
it.
they're hightailing it home, it's going to take a while to get home.
It's
few
going
more
to take a
days.
few days, but yeah, it is really cool. So make sure you're paying attention, because if you love science, this will be your jam. It is 8:19 right now. You are listening to Daybreak. I'm Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. Jamie has a civics lesson for us coming up next on the Civic Media Network.
Take your seats, kids. It's time for a civics lesson.
It's 8:22 right now. You are listening to Daybreak. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Civic Media Network. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. And yes, it is time for a civics lesson, because after the president so eloquently took to Truth Social yesterday and decided it was time to, well, basically toss out Iran and threaten them. Here's the tweet, or the post, just so you remember what he wrote. Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the effing Strait, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. President Donald J. Trump. That reignited talk about the 25th Amendment, which a lot of us know, have a cursory knowledge of, that it means you can remove someone from office. Well, I messaged Jamie and said, you want to have class tomorrow, Jamie? And Jamie jumped at the chance, of course.
Of course.
So please educate us, Jamie, on the
Yes.
25th Amendment.
All right. So we'll run through this pretty quickly, because at least the first three sections, because I think Section 4 is the one that everybody is focused on right now.
Okay.
So the 25th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution was ratified in 1967, and it came about after the confusion that followed the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Before that, the Constitution didn't really clearly explain what to do if a president was alive but unable to do the job. So in order to understand the 25th Amendment, let's go through the first three sections really quickly here. So in Section 1, it makes clear that the vice president becomes full president, not temporary, if something happens. This settled earlier confusion from cases like John Tyler, who set the precedent by assuming full powers after William Henry Harrison died in 1841. Then there's Section 2, and this has been used twice in real life, both in the 1970s during major political upheaval. Gerald Ford became vice president after Spiro Agnew resigned, then became president after Richard Nixon resigned. Ford then picked Nelson Rockefeller as vice president, which essentially showed how the system works back to back. Then you have Section 3 that's been used a handful of times, including by Ronald Reagan in 1985 and George W. Bush in 2002 and 2007 during routine medical procedures. And in fact, in 2021, speaking of Kamala Harris, as we were last hour, she became the first woman to hold presidential power briefly while President Biden underwent a routine colonoscopy. In those cases, power was transferred just for a few hours while the presidents were under anesthesia. Now, this leads us to Section 4, which, as I said, I think this is where a lot of people are focused right now. Now, Section 4 has never fully been used, Brian, but it has been discussed during several presidencies when questions came up about a president's health or their behavior. I believe the Section 4 was also talked about during Ronald Reagan's presidency when it became apparent that he was mentally declining, right? So this requires the vice president and a majority of cabinet members to act together, not just one person. And this is where it's going to get tricky if you're thinking that this might be an option for this particular president. If there's a dispute, Congress has to vote, and it takes a 2/3 majority in both chambers to keep the president out of power. Now, that's the same high bar that's used to override the presidential veto, so it's intentionally difficult. This amendment does not define unable. We're going to put unable in air quotes, and it leaves that term flexible for different situations like illness, injury, or other incapacity. It is completely separate from impeachment, which deals with conduct or crimes. The goal is stability. That is what the 25th Amendment was set up to do, because it makes sure that there is always someone clearly in charge of the U.S. government. It has only been fully tested during the political crisis of the 1970s, when it helped guide a peaceful transition of power. And the 25th Amendment, as it stands, has become a key constitutional safeguard during times of crisis, uncertainty, or concern about presidential fitness. And in fact, if you remember back to 9/11, there was also conversations about the 25th Amendment if something were to happen to George W. Bush, why they were moving him from basically Air Force Base to Air Force Base, making sure he was protected during those attacks. But that is essentially the 25th Amendment. So if you are banking on Section 4 of the 25th Amendment, good luck with this particular Congress.
Yeah, that's not. It's not going to happen. I mean, it's sad that we have this in the we have this law, we have it in the Constitution, and it just is never going to be used. Right. And if there's ever a point where we look at the behavior of a president and say this is dangerous to the country, normal is long gone. But a tweet like or a post like this is so far beyond the pale that we do need to do something. He's making all these unilateral decisions going all the way back 2 months to he got us in a war just because. And now he is advocating not only war crimes by bombing civilian targets, but by just stealing the oil and making these threats. This is a dangerous guy. And let's remember why all this started. There's a couple of reasons. One is to just get all the oil. The other one is all of this is a distraction from the Epstein files.
Yes.
All of it is a distraction. So, and he's made these decisions unilaterally because he feels it in his bones with no evidence, and no one will stop him. And that's why the 25th Amendment will never be invoked.
No, it absolutely won't be, because that's just it. Even if you've got some Republicans on the side of, yes, this is what we need to do, first of all, then it needs to come to J.D. Vance to bring it to Congress. And then you have to get the 2/3 from both houses. And there is just enough opposition to an act like this with enough support for this president. I mean, we saw what Lindsey Graham had to say after the president posted this. He was all in favor of this. He didn't think there was anything wrong, and he supported this president, which is why you're never going to get that sort of 2/3 majority.
Lindsey Graham would flip the minute if there were ever some sort of, dark cabal that was plotting now because Trump put into effect everything they wanted for Project 2025. Right. He's outlived his usefulness. Now, Lindsey Graham would flip his allegiance in a second. Mm-hmm. In a second. Cow goggles. Yes, cow vision. You want to know what it's like to see what a cow sees? It sounds funny, but there's a serious reason for it. We'll talk about that next.
It's 8:29. You are listening to Daybreak. This is the Civic Media Network.
Local voices, statewide impact. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us today. We do appreciate it. Hopefully you are having a great start to your Monday. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And good morning, I'm Brian Noonan. Now, people, this is something that I'm sure a lot of our listeners in the rural markets understand, but there's a lot of us who don't. But people who work in animal agriculture know the importance of keeping stress levels low for cattle, pigs, and other livestock. The challenge is understanding how the animals see the world and what triggers their stress. The University of Wisconsin River Falls Humane Handling Institute has turned to augmented reality in an effort to let farmers and staff from meat processing plants see their facilities through a cow's eyes. Now, cow vision goggles might sound hilarious and like a funny concept, but are they the future? Ashlyn Kirk, program manager of the UW River Falls Humane Handling Institute, joins us now to explain the significance of animal eye simulators. That's the real name. Ashlyn, thank you for being here. Now, I'm going to apologize in advance. But to me, the idea of cow vision goggles seems hilarious. I want to know what cows see. The thought of being a cow for a while sounds great, but it is serious business. So what is the importance of getting an animal's perspective throughout the processing chain?
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to talk about these cattle vision goggles. So the importance of knowing how an animal sees the world can, like you said, really minimize the stress and fear that an animal would experience going through these facilities. And that makes all the difference. So if you can design a facility with animal behavior in mind, they will move through it easier. And it'll be an easier and safer process for the animal and the handler.
Now, Ashlyn, when you put these goggles on, because obviously it's the people who are wearing the goggles, let's make sure we make that clear first and foremost.
Yes.
Can we get the cows a goggle, though?
I think that is a thing.
Okay, all right. What does it actually look like, though, when you put these goggles on? And what, as somebody who's had these on, what jumped out to you right away?
Yeah, so I think I can describe a little bit about the setup first.
Mm-hmm.
So the person wearing or experiencing cattle vision is wearing virtual reality goggles. And then they're also wearing a helmet that has a 360-degree camera mounted to it. So this camera is then connected to a laptop that runs the augmented reality cattle vision software. So there's two people involved in the process. One that is seeing the world like a cow would. And then the second person is walking behind them and making sure they don't trip or run into anything, because it is very disorienting when you put those goggles on right away until you get used to it. So
is there a difference between how a cow sees something and how we see something? Is that why you say it gets disoriented? What's the difference?
Yes, there is a big difference. So cattle have eyes that are located on the sides of their heads. So unlike us, we have eyes on the front of our heads. Cattle have eyes on the sides of their heads, so they can see a very wide range of vision. So what I mean when I say that is we can see in front of us about 180 degrees pretty well. Like our blind spot is behind our ear. Mm-hmm. But cattle, in comparison, can see about, we estimate 310 to 330 degrees around them.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have a blind spot only directly behind them. Wow. So you can see pretty much the whole way around you, but the sharpest point of vision will be right in front, and then the rest will be really blurry, but you can still see shapes and movement in
Does
like
that
your
also
peripheral
explain
vision.
why a cow kicks like when you're milking it if they don't know you're coming up behind it?
Yes, we talk about that a lot. When you're coming in and out of that blind spot that's directly behind them, that's the most dangerous spot that you can stand when you're approaching a cow.
Now, is it like dogs? Can cows see color, or is it like dogs where we think everything is kind of shades of gray?
Yeah, so cattle have dichromatic vision. So they can see colors, but it is different than we can see colors. Okay. So we can see the whole color spectrum, and cattle have a hard time differentiating between different visual light wavelengths. So they can see in shades of blue and yellow and browns primarily.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We're talking with Ashlyn Kirk. She is the program manager at UW River Falls Humane Handling Institute. Now, you mentioned that cows, we were talking about cows can see 300 degrees, and you mentioned that when you put the goggles on, it's very disorienting. So what does that mean for how they move through their space when they can see so much around them?
Mm-hmm. So cattle are really... That's a great question. So when cattle are moving through facilities, they can see pretty much the whole way around them, and they can everything, except for right behind them. So when a handler is moving cattle, they use that sight and the point of balance in the flight zone to move animals, because they can come at certain points to move them forward or behind or back, depending on where they are in the facility. So cattle can see motion to their side, but it's not sharp vision until they look directly at you.
Gotcha.
Now, with these simulators, these cloud, how have they helped with your program at UW River Falls when you've been developing the facilities? And explain, for those of us who aren't in agriculture, when we use the word facilities, are these just the holding areas, or as they go to the, to the final resting place to become dinner? What kind of facilities, and how have they changed how you're approaching things there?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll talk a little bit about the Humane Handling Institute and what we do, and then I'll go into that question. So the Humane Handling Institute is a first of its kind training center for meat industry personnel, and it's specifically focused on humane handling and humane slaughter. So we do a lot of hands-on training that is really based on research that we do in our animal welfare lab here at the University of Wisconsin River Falls. And then we do a lot of outreach and get that information into the hands of the people that actually use it and move livestock every day. So how we've been incorporating this technology so far is we've been using it in our hands-on training courses to have people that are handling livestock every single day. Oh my goodness, my lights turned off here. I'm not moving around enough. But people that are using this knowledge every single day, and I kind of lost my train of thought here.
Well, so how have they changed how you design the facilities, or what are the biggest takeaways as you've been using this software to say, okay, we need to change this approach, we need to change this, as far as how we're moving the cattle through these different facilities?
Yeah, that is a great question. So I think it really helps people put themselves into the hooves, I should say, of the animals that they're handling. But what we've seen is we've walked through the facilities at our campus farms, and we've made some changes based on lighting. So another thing that cattle see differently is their pupils dilate differently than ours would. So now that the lights just went off in here, that's a great segue. Exactly. But cattle, when there's a drastic light to dark change, it takes longer for their eyes to adjust to that difference. So when they see bright light, it's like when we've been working in our office all day and then taking a step outside and it's really bright for a few seconds before your eyes adjust. So cattle, it takes, it's like 15 seconds for their eyes to adjust instead of just like right away.
Okay.
So it's different when you're moving from light to dark as well. So the darkness looks really dark for a while until their eyes adjust to it.
So is the key keeping the lighting in the facilities at a constant level, or what change did you make to adjust to that?
So making the lighting as uniform as possible, especially at the entrance to an indoor facility. So that spot has to be really well lit. Otherwise, when animals are coming from outside to inside, it really looks like a dark cave that they're going into unless you have really good lighting there. And cattle especially like to move toward light. If you're moving them toward a certain part of your handling facility, it's better to have light there, so they'll move toward it. So that's one thing. And then another thing is solid-sided gates really help.
Oh, why is that?
So solid-sided gates really help because, like I said, they can see all the way around them. So there's a lot of different parts that they can get distracted by. Like if someone is standing on one side of the gate.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that
you want to limit that vision as much as possible.
That's what Parker tries to do with me. Blinders.
Yeah.
Can you move it in one way? So again, this is, and if my questions seem rudimentary, it's just I am not an agriculture expert. But besides sound and being distracted by sight and the light, what kind of stressors, other than those, will these goggles help professionals eliminate so that the cattle is a little more humanely treated as they move through the process?
Mm-hmm. A good part, I think a good point to talk about is handlers not getting frustrated as much with the livestock that they're handling.
Oh, okay.
So because they can better understand how these livestock species see the world, if the animal is stopping at one certain part of the facility, they can make changes to their facility to help move them through it in a less stressful way. And they also can keep that in the back of their mind, like, oh, they might be stopping at this, and then changing that.
That makes sense.
So, Ashlyn, will this help farmers on a day-to-day basis as well? I mean, you mentioned the stress to the animals, which can help with milk and better meat quality and things too. But on the farms, does this help with saving time? Is it the money? Is it the stress? Can it be all of the above on our average family farms?
Yeah, I think all of the above. Everything that you said really makes sense to me. And it also helps safety-wise. When animals and humans are interacting, it can be dangerous sometimes. So as long as we're taking that into consideration too.
Now, are there goggles in the works for other animals? Like, what if I want to know what a pig's eye view of things is, or a chicken?
Yes. So we have cattle vision. We also have it for pigs and horses as of now, but we've really just rolled out cattle vision.
Okay.
And the software programmers that we worked with to purchase this equipment are also working on sheep vision currently. So that is the next thing that there's being developed.
I would love dog vision. I really would like to know what my dogs are looking at when they go outside. I go, what are you barking at? And I could put the goggles on and go, oh, that's not real. That's not real. Ashlyn, thank you so much. This was fascinating. Ashlyn Kirk is the program manager at UW River Falls Humane Handling Institute. Again, it's cattle vision. Ashlyn, thanks so much. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much. You too.
All facts, no fiction. It's Daybreak with Brian and Jamie.
8:52 right now. We hope that your morning is going well so far. Thank you so much for listening to the Civic Media Network. I am Jamie Martinson.
And good morning. I'm Brian Noonan. If you missed our last interview, I found it really fascinating because I am the first to admit I am not an agricultural guy. I appreciate how hard the work is. I appreciate what it's done, but since it's not part of my life, there's a lot I did not know. And Ashlyn Kirk was here. She was talking about these cow vision goggles, and I learned a lot about cows because who would have thought? Most people, one, they don't want to get involved in the process.
Right.
They don't want to hear the story about cows being taken to the slaughterhouse, and but this was fascinating about just helping not only the cows stay calmer, but the people who handle the livestock stay calmer too, instead of going, why aren't they moving? Oh, well, these cows are easily distracted because they could see 360 degrees. Yeah. So every little thing, you think I get distracted. I can only see 180 degrees. And I know that at the end of this, I'm not being turned into hamburger. So I have, it's a whole different thing. So the point being, you can always go to civicmedia.us. You can hear the interviews and everything from the show. So go there if you want to. Go to the Daybreak tab. And if you're in agriculture and you haven't started this or done this, it might be something interesting for you to hear about too. So
my husband just texted me, can you imagine if you could see 360 degrees?
Oh. That you wouldn't have to keep your head on a swivel anymore. Your head is a swivel. I always want to know what's behind me.
My husband's like, you get distracted by a gnat 20 counties over.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't imagine if you could see that many degrees around you.
Yeah, there'd be no focus. But I also would be much more calm walking the streets. Even all these years with my wife and my daughter, I hate when people are walking right behind me.
Yeah,
I don't like that. And I don't, I was a bouncer for a number of years. I don't like things happening behind me. I always have to.
Yeah.
So I'd love cow vision.
I think I think it's fantastic. And think about, I mean, when we talked with Ashlyn, you think about what it could do for not only like the business of farming, but just for the farmers who raise a few cattle here and there, and how it could actually help them with better milk production or beef production.
Yeah.
So there's tons of possibilities with the cow vision. And now that I'm learned also that it's for other animals, I think that's kind of cool.
Sheep vision,
as well.
pig vision, horse
Yeah.
vision. We got to get that dog, because I would all day just try to figure out what my dogs are looking at. Like,
Do your dogs ever do that thing where they just stop and they stare at something, but there's nothing there?
Well, my wife's convinced it's because there's ghosts in the house.
Oh, boy.
So Parker, I don't believe it either. I am 100% no ghost guy. But there is a point where I see, and it's mostly the female one, the smaller one.
That's
She'll
what ours
just
does.
all of a sudden just sit and stare. And I'm like, what are you staring at? And I go and I stand behind her and I look, and there's nothing.
Do you ever get down on her level to see if you could figure it out?
I do.
No.
I've done that. Yeah,
I figure
I do
she's
that too, and
insane.
I'm like,
My question is, why would they be able to see them? If there are ghosts, why would the dog be able to see them?
Because they don't, maybe because they don't see in color and they don't have the
Yeah.
full spectrum, and they can see the spectral being
their
that
eyes
we
are more
can't see.
sensitive than ours. Yeah,
Yeah, their eye. Maybe they smell it first. Maybe ghosts have a smell.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't believe that ghosts
think ghosts
exist.
smell
So I don't know if there's ghost deodorant. I don't know if ghosts offend your olfactory system
Well, we know what
because I don't
Casper
believe they're
did.
there.
We know what Casper did after he stopped haunting houses and became not just the friendly ghost in movies. He had to come up with his own line of care products for ghosts. That's what he did. I'm
Perhaps.
convinced of
Yeah.
it.
Well, and he was financed because he allegedly is the ghost of Richie Rich.
There we go.
Casper
There we
is
go.
Casper is the
Yes.
dead persona of Richie Rich.
There
If
we
you
go.
want to believe that, there's a conspiracy theory for you. But
Ooh.
yeah, all right. Well, listen, we were gonna get into what you could do with your leftover coffee, but we're running out of time. But we'll hit it anyway. Did you know that the average American drinks more than 3 cups of coffee a day, Jamie? Sure, you did. I don't know.
Yes.
Did you? I drink a lot. I drink a ton of coffee.
I don't drink any.
You
Very
don't drink
rarely.
any coffee?
Very rarely. Very rarely.
Goodness. Parker,
Some
do you
days.
drink coffee?
No, I don't drink any coffee at all.
Wow. So you are not. So am I holding
I'm sure
up?
you and
Stunned.
No, I'm sure you and Frank make up for Jamie.
I
and
was going to say. So Frank and
Stunned
I are
into
carrying
silence.
the average,
Yes.
keeping the average up for this show.
For this show,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely.
Or you guys are below average. You take that
It
as
could
you
be
want.
that
I'm just
too.
citing stats. I'm not.
No.
I'm not making judgments.
You
I'm
might
citing
be very
statistics.
yes, it could be that for sure.
Germans consume 169 liters of coffee a year. Point being, that creates a lot of leftovers, a lot of grounds. Every day I throw out a giant cone filter full of grounds.
Yes.
Well, you could be doing other things with those coffee grounds, Jamie. You can use here. Speaking of ghost deodorant, you can use them as odor neutralizers.
Yes. I did not know this.
I didn't know this either. You'll find bowls of coffee grounds or whole coffee beans. You can do the same at home. Helps remove cooking smells from your hands. Helps neutralize unpleasant odors. Perhaps your skin. You want a facial? You don't have to go to a spa and spend lots of
Use
money,
the-
Jamie.
The exfoliation of
Yes.
coffee grounds. All right.
Take them into your shower.
We have plenty of coffee grounds in our household from my husband. It turns out if you're going to use it as an exfoliant, though, you should probably mix it with something like a little honey, maybe some olive oil, maybe a little sugar as well. And then you just massage it in and you get this. You don't need to go to the overpriced spas anymore. You can do
No.
this at home.
Use it for coffee. You could use it to scour things.
Pesticides is also interesting to me.
I didn't know this either. There's a lot I don't know. It's obvious. Yeah, for what do you do? Oh, earthworms
Yeah,
are lured to
moles,
compost heaps by
voles?
coffee grounds. Moles and voles.
Interesting.
Fertilizer. I heard this for blueberry bushes. That
Yes.
that it's good fertilizer for blueberry bushes. I tried it. My blueberry bushes died a horrible death. But I'm not a farmer, as I've mentioned many times.
You don't have cow goggles or
I don't have-
blueberry vision.
I got nothing. I have a grocery store. That's where I do all my farming. I do all my harvesting at the grocery
That's
store.
right.
Thank you so much. We are out of here for another day, but we'll be back tomorrow because the news never sleeps, and we rarely do. So I'm Brian Noonan. Thanks for being here on Daybreak.
I'm Jamie Martinson. It is 8:59. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening to the Civic Media Network.